Mr. President.
Senator from Wyoming.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I come to the floor today to talk about the need for more American energy. We're approaching the end of January. Winter storms have been covering the country, from Colorado to Connecticut. We're seeing it everywhere. Temperatures drop, energy prices go up. In a typical year, cold actually kills more Americans than extreme heat. This winter, millions of families are in danger of being left out in the cold because of the cost of energy. We know that more than 20 million households in America right now have fallen behind on their ability to pay their energy bills. Record high inflation has robbed the American people of more than $10,000 for each and every family since Joe Biden's become president. You just look at what people were paying for things before he came to office and what they're paying today. As a result, people are able to save less. They're having to pay more. We know that about 2 out of 3 American households are living paycheck to paycheck. Personal savings in this country is now at a record low. Household debt at a record high. And people are having to borrow more money, put things on the credit card at higher and higher interest rates. At the same time, energy prices are dramatically higher than they were the day Joe Biden took office. Cost of heating oil is up by 2/3. Natural gas is higher now than for a long time. Electricity is up by 20 cents on the dollar. As a result, there's actually the risk of people having their energy and their electricity shut off this winter. Some are doing it voluntarily because they don't want the big bill that's going to come. Hard to believe that it is happening here in the wealthiest country in the world. We have enough energy to keep every American warm this winter. Some of it they won't let us get out of the ground, but we have it. So it's an absolute disgrace with the energy resources we have in this country that Americans are facing brownouts and blackouts from an energy standpoint because of the Biden administration's radical climate policies. Yet millions and millions of Americans are living with financial fear and with massive frustration at this administration and ignoring the needs of the people. So what are the Democrats doing about it? Nothing. Joe Biden actually sold some of our emergency petroleum reserve, the strategic petroleum reserve, sold some of it to China. You wouldn't believe that, but yet it happened. Our petroleum reserve is for America. It's for emergencies. It's for natural disasters. It's for war. It's not for China. This week I'm introducing legislation to make sure this never happens again. The House has already passed this legislation. The vote was completely bipartisan. More than 100 Democrats voted for it in the House. No reason it shouldn't be bipartisan here in the Senate as well, Mr. President. So I urge my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to join me in this effort. The Strategic Petroleum Reserve is for us, it's not for our enemies. Joe Biden has promised to use our tax dollars. I mean, it's astonishing. He went to the United Nations. He said he was going to send $11 billion a year to give to the United Nations for climate reparations, for energy we've used, giving away American dollars when Americans can't afford to pay for energy costs here at home. Why is he doing it? You listen to his speech, because he wants to say he's sorry. That's what we have, a president who wants to apologize once again for America. He wants us to feel guilty about the fact that we built the strongest economy of the world using oil, gas, coal, all of the energy sources that we have in this country. The American people have nothing to apologize for. Joe Biden's wrong. Shouldn't apologize for being an energy superpower. We shouldn't apologize for using our energy resources. If he wants to apologize, he ought to be apologizing to the people of the United States for the policies he's put in place that have driven up costs and caused pain for families all across America. He would apologize for raising taxes on American energy. He should apologize for wasting tax dollars. The Secretary of Energy, his Secretary of Energy, has given more than $200 million in loans to companies in China. Secretary of Treasury, going to China soon. She met with China's Vice Premier recently in Switzerland. According to the Treasury Department, she agreed to, quote, enhance cooperation with China on climate finance, as well as support for developing countries in their clean energy transitions. In other words, more American taxpayer dollars for other people in other countries. Again, the excuse for all of this, the climate. Democrats in Washington utterly obsessed with the green dreams of the coastal elites who run the Democrat Party, who call the tune. Again and again, the Democrats side with the climate elites over the common folks. I hear it in Wyoming. I hear it no matter where I travel in the country. Democrats are offering working families nothing more than higher taxes and higher prices, and they continue to raise taxes. Democrats just threatened to ban natural gas stoves. Nearly half of the homes in America use natural gas. The administration, nominee by the president, that's what he said. He didn't say it once, he said it repeatedly. Democrats also just raised taxes on coal by more than $1 billion. So what happens with all these new taxes? They get handed on to working families in Wyoming and across America. What happens with higher taxes? It means higher prices and higher energy costs. Yet Janet Yellen's flying around the world offering more of our tax dollars to these other countries. Last week, there was a large Democrat political rally held in Switzerland, a place called Davos. And the masters of the universe flew to Switzerland for the World Economic Forum. From the television reports and the news reports, much of the conversation was about climate. The president's energy's climate czar, John Kerry, was there. He gave a speech. You talk about somebody with smug superiority. He just thinks he knows better than anybody else. This is what he said. He said, quote, this is John Kerry, it's extraordinary that we, a select group of human beings, are able to talk about saving the planet. Thank you, John Kerry. You're going to save us all. I can hardly wait. He added, if you say that to most people, they'd think you're just a crazy, tree-hugging, lefty, liberal do-gooder, but that's where we are. Well, John Kerry, you're right. Most people, certainly anybody in Wyoming would listen to you, would say you are just a crazy, tree-hugging, lefty, liberal do-gooder. That's what we got from the President of the United States doing his climate bidding in Switzerland. This is exactly what people think about John Kerry and the climate crisis and the positions of this administration. And as if one failed presidential nominee and candidate wasn't embarrassing enough, then we had a real vice president who came to speak, a former vice president named Al Gore. Anyone watching Al Gore speak would say that basically he descended into an unhinged rant. About what? Well, climate, of course. It's all he ever rants about. The former Democrat senator and vice president said, he said, we're boiling the oceans. That's what we're doing, apparently. He said if we don't obey his energy policies. Well, I'm sure he and John Kerry have great times together. Boiling the oceans. He even said we're creating what he called rain bombs. He wants to save the planet as well, and I'd say, what planet is he on? That's what we're seeing coming out of this administration as their voice on the world stage. When it comes to energy, what are the Democrats offering? A fairy tale, a fantasy, and a fraud. That's what we hear from the Democrats. Democrats' green dreams are causing nightmares for working families who have to pay for all of this. And the only green thing about Democrats' energy agenda is how much green it costs American families. John Kerry said it himself. He said, "How do we get there?" And he said, "Money, money, money." That's his answer. American money, American dollars. And he's going to save the planet. Europe already has tried its own Green New Deal. It's been a disaster for working people of those countries. Can't let that happen here. Just cannot. The International Energy Agency projects record high demand for oil later this year. This is at a time when Joe Biden's making us keep it in the ground. Wyoming is the energy breadbasket of the nation. We have it. It's affordable, it's available, it's reliable. Not good enough for Joe Biden. No, he wants to go to Iran, go to Afghanistan, go to Iran, go to Venezuela, go to Saudi Arabia, hat in hand, begging them to produce more and sending it here. And it's interesting listening to the climate elites as they are fixated on renewable energy, regardless of the costs and regardless of the consequences. Democrats need to stop this science fiction. It's long past time for America to unleash our energy and stop this foolishness coming from the administration that has us buying energy from our enemies instead of selling it to our friends. We have an abundance of American energy. Democrats want to keep it buried in the ground. For every American family who is struggling to make ends meet and falling further behind because of the inflation caused by the Democrats' spending, it's time to unleash American energy right now. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.